I hear that still works, but I have to text someone and ask to be sure. So again, if you click School Finder on their website, eventually you'll get a place where you can type a physical address and it'll tell you it's Zone 2, such and such elementary, middle, and high school. So it's just taking their site a moment to load. But that's the idea behind that. So again, you've got plenty of information to kind of pass on to consumers, clients, customers, whatever they happen to be at that time. Okay? So I would just type the property address right there. It'll zoom in, and then you can see right here the boundaries for the particular schools. It'll zoom in further, so I'll be able to tell pretty quickly. It's in the green blob, so it must be such and such elementary. Okay? Theirs is one of the fancier sites. Most of the others don't have cool high-tech maps. So I like to show spring because it's pretty. All right, so any questions on School Zone Finder? All right, so now back at Fusion in our resources widget, I think that School Zone Finder is one you're going to use an awful lot. Again, if you're the listing agent, you might want to take the extra step, discover which schools it's zoned to, put that in on your listing. Again, it's not required, but sure would be helpful, but not a requirement there. And then if you've got a buyer looking for property, they ask you the question, most often you're going to have to go research it yourself to figure out some answer for them. You have a question?
No, I found it.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out why.
But you figured it out. Good. All right. So a couple other things in here. Image resizers, you might not need all that often. The water districts clear as mud. There are water district notices, 3 of them, right? HAR 400 A, B, and C. They vary by like one little word or something, just kind of some nuances in there that make them different. Always defer to your broker for information and help on that.
That's another story.
That is the big disclaimer is always ask your broker for help first. They're always your first line of defense. And then this article does kind of explain fairly clearly the difference between the 3 of them. And then it's always fun to determine which mud's where and fill out all those forms, right? Hardest part of real estate, again, is learning all your logins, and then the second part is there's 10 forms for that. So as you scroll through, you'll see a couple of other things. Some more information, the mud notice and walkthrough here. It's kind of an online PowerPoint. So again, it kind of gives you a little walkthrough of how to fill in which form, what would go in what fields, just a little general guidance. Nothing super duper specific, but plenty to help you kind of understand how to fill in those particular forms if you need that. The floodplain determination is a good map. Pros and cons. The con is it's Harris County only at this time. They're the only county that has a flood map that they can provide for us online. So currently, if you click there, you can put in a property address for a home in Harris County and it'll tell you if it is or is not in the floodplain. So here's an announcement, okay? Pros and cons, right? The current tax system, as you know it, that Stewart title interface, is going to go away. I know, right? Eventually, first part of next year, first quarter sometime probably is when they're going to phase that out.
You know why that's bad? Because the Stewart one tells you what the house sold for if it sold 5 or 6 years back.
Well, I have really good news to now make it better. Because I hit you first. That's right. I whack you a little bit first, and then I give you a Band-Aid to make it feel all better. We are launching a new tax program. The new tax program called Real List, R-E-A-L-I-S-T, Real List, launches in December probably. So just a couple of weeks. We'll have classes on that. We'll do webinars on that. We'll do all we can to help you learn that. We will keep the Stewart excuse me, we'll keep its system up and running for several months, so you'll have plenty of time to kind of transition over. It has way more information than Stewart Title. It has the deed history. It's very up to date. It's very accurate. It has mapping layers, and I kind of segued into it from here because of the floodplain maps. We have floodplain. We have all sorts of mapping for the entire state, often the entire country, because it's coming from CoreLogix. The same company that gives you Tempo and Fusion is giving us this real...
CoreLogix?
Yes, CoreLogix. Same company giving you the Fusion Tempo systems is also the one that provides the tax system that we're going to roll out. So they have access to data from all over the country. It's pretty cool stuff. So you've got way more in-depth information. You can run a CMA in it. Literally, it can find comps for you through MLS and tax. So it can give you all sorts of really good, very deep, as they call it, information. So while we don't like change to something that's got a lot more, it's really user-friendly, although initially it's kind of like, whoa, this is way different than Stuart. It's very user-friendly. It's a lot like Fusion, as you might imagine, coming from the same vendor. So not too terrible a learning curve. CoreLogic is the company that gives you Fusion and Tempo, right, both. Yep. MarketLinks, CoreLogic's, same thing. And then, like I say, they provide MLS all over the country in several different programs. So, so the pros and the cons, right? The good and the bad.
I think it's all good.
Good, thank you.
I'm kind of back on the floodplain thing.
Uh-huh.
Is this kind of like the school thing? Is this where you can look it up, but I have to take no responsibility?
I would be very, yes, judicious in giving out that information.
I would,
You can send them to MCAT.
I tell them to go to their insurance agent.
They can't get everything.
Yes.
but They can get.
Talk to your insurance agent is a good place to start. That's right.
Maybe too much.
Insurance has changed it
Yeah.
too.
Pros and cons, you don't want to be oblivious, but you also want to be careful not to be liable, right, for touting it a certain way or saying a certain thing. But if you get a listing and the current owner doesn't realize they're in a floodplain, it's kind of your duty in a way, right, to know that it is or disclose that or kind of help them understand
Well, you just
that
need
it
to
is.
take flood insurance, period.
Well, always.
'Cause the
Right,
laws
so-
are changing.
And we don't want to wait till we're sitting at the closing table to find out we should have had flood insurance and now the whole deal's
That really is
shot. So,
somebody else, the mortgage company usually.
yes, ma'am. Yep, that's what I said. Definitely there's other sources, but it's good to be able to have a resource also to be aware.
Well, you should have been there because it's very
Oh, I know,
interesting.
they're doing that back home.
So last little tidbits here. Anybody heard of har.com? Just checking. Trek website. Anyone heard of Trek? What does Trek have for you? All your stuff, all your licensing information. They're the ones that maintain and hold your license. So every time you take a class for MCE credit, they log the hours there. So you'll know how many hours you have taken, how many you need. You renew your license through there. They also handle any, not that you would ever need it, but should you have to do anything to pursue, if somebody violates ethics or whatever, if you want to file a complaint against someone who's licensed, you go through Trek to do that. Hypothetically, because I'm sure there are no instances where that happens. So MLS rules is the next one. Don't worry, we're not going to read those. But MLS rules, top rules and to remember is kind of your David Letterman-esque top something or other. It's more than 10. But it gives you the kind of plain words, plain English version of the rule, and then the fine or the potential fine amount off to the side. So if you don't do this, it could cost you that much.
So in other words, if you use someone's keypad.
You go to realtor jail for that. Fake realtor jail. Just kidding.
Over here.
Correct. If someone hands you oh gosh, I forgot my Supra. If they say, oh, here, just use mine. What do you say? No, don't make me do. Run away.
Oh, I can't find it. Can I use yours? No.
No. There is potentially a $1,000 fine for that offense. If they catch you doing that, you get one shot at that. If you do it again, they take it away and you're out of the game. You cannot.
Is that correct?
Nobody but you, the actual owner of that Supra, is allowed to use that key.
Enough, I'll get in the car
I
and
do
go.
that.
Correct. Also, like she said, we now have the ability to put an app on our phone. We've got a little fob on our phone, so you don't need the extra piece of hardware necessarily.
When did that happen?
When did that rule come into effect?
No. Because I've got carrying the fob. I didn't know we could just do it with a phone.
You can't
Some
use the
phones.
fob.
Some phones. It depends on the phone.
You have
On
to
my
have the
key.
fob and the phone.
That's right, and the newest one for the iPhone is better than the old one, because the old one's stuck in the bottom.
Okay, I understand that. Okay. I thought we could do away with the fob entirely, and you're saying
No.
that's not
No,
the
it's on
case.
your.
And depending on what kind of phone you have, some of them are a fob, and some of them are like a clicker on your car doors where it's completely separate. And then some, like on the Droid phone, I think it's just a really tiny little
Years
thing.
ago, we could use our phone.
Well, we
Android
did
or
too with the
iPhone,
Palm.
And that's
We-
all
in the-
you needed.
See, in the Palm, you could do that. You could
Yes.
use your phone.
Yes.
But when they went to iPhone, it didn't. If they get an app, we could do it.
Yep. And Supra is eventually going to catch up with the times, I'm sure.
When your phone goes
But
down,
at this time, we just have those options. At least we can get in houses, right? At least we can, the magic electronical box still does work at least. So there's
I
that.
still miss the little round key.
The new iPhones have a small one, the new iPad.
There may possibly be some of those out there, who knows? But I would imagine Supra has collected them and put them in their archives. The top rules, again, is kind of the abbreviated version. The MLS rules and regulations is the full 40 pages of legalese, the actual real-life rules set forth by the boards and all that. So if you feel like, that just doesn't seem right, you want to go investigate if that was a broken rule or if it was just tacky, you can look up your rules here. Also, just to kind of make you aware, the kind of biggest ones that get violated, so to speak, are people forgetting, quote unquote, to put pictures on their listing. You have to have at least 6 photos within 10 days of putting your listing in there. 10 days. Not business days, but days. So 6 photos within 10 days, unless it's a lot, then your minimum requirement's 4. There's only so much you can do with a lot, right?
Yeah.
Lot.
And you can't take the front picture 6 times.
6 unique photos. That's right. That's what the rule says. 6 unique photos. And while it is true that this is 1 and this is 2, those are different. Come on. Let's make them something a little more helpful than that. That's just one of my little pet peeves. So as long as you've got at least 6 in there, you can put up to 32 total photos on your listings if you want to do that. So. Also, there is a fine process, so if we discover you violated a rule, we notify you and say, oh dear, you've done something wrong. It's slightly more professional than that. I don't think they put the oh dear in. But here's this thing that you should resolve. You have 5 days to fix it, unless it's something like the big rules. Sharing your Supra, that's an immediate fine. Giving out your public ID, immediate fine. So not putting a property into sold, it's bad, so do those things. Most everything, you've got that 5-day cushion. So we'll email you and then we'll warn you again that on the 5th day, before close, we notice you haven't resolved this before the close of business, you need to resolve that by the end of the day today. If you don't do that, we cut off your services to MLS. You can't access HAR MLS. We've notified your broker. Your broker has the same 5 days. If they do nothing, we shut off the services for the entire office. So nobody in the whole office can get in because JoJo forgot to put her pictures on her listing or something like that. So don't be that guy. But rarely ever does it make it that far because most of the time it's just a simple oversight. They didn't realize it had been 10 days because they thought they had 10 business days or just a little typo or something. So. So those are all the big main sort of widgets I want to talk about. Again, I realize you're not going to use those all day, every day. You jump into HAR, straight to Tempo or Fusion, and you go search for properties. So there's a couple extra little detours for you if you ever need those. I did talk just briefly about being able to search by property address in relation to her question or comment earlier. The first sort of option, you have this fast find widget. First of all, there's 2 ways to search. There's a fast find and a quick search. Fast is faster than quick. Fast is designed to just be real fast, but not super detailed. So this fast find just has some basic stuff. Mostly it's designed to be a radius search. So you can do a 1/4 mile all the way up to a 100-mile radius around either an address or an intersection. So again, to get real high tech, this is kind of cool. I could put I-45 in Sawdust, I think they cross, and find all of the homes available within a 1/4 mile of that. Or around 1234 Maple Street as my example before, or whatever it might be. Don't know why you would want to go 100 miles out, but you could, right? Why not? If you can, you might need it. It does limit you to 1 property class at a time, so only single family, only townhome, so on and so forth. You can specify a price range. So here's your next big learning curve. Fusion already has the last 3 digits, the thousands place. In Tempo, I have to type 350000, right? That was the hardest habit for me to break. If I type right here, 350000, it already has the other 3 zeros, so what price range am I starting with? 3 million. Hopefully that's an accurate search. I'd love for you to be able to get that client. But if I want 350,000 and up, I just type the first 3 digits, no comma, whatever. If you click the little button, it goes away. So I can type all the digits manually if I'd like to do that. For instance, in rental, they don't always end in zeros, right? $12.75, $9.50, whatever rental price is. So there's a reason sometimes you don't need those preset zeros. And then if you want a minimum number of bedrooms or square footage or whatever, you can add that into this fast find. Again, in quick search, you can do a much more detailed search. Stories, pool, year built, closing date, all sorts of other things, and that's where we're headed next. But on this little fast find, we can't do that. More broad brush stroke stuff. The little checkbox down at the bottom that says on market listings only, that would be active, option pending, and pending continue to show. Those are considered on the market. Everything else is not. Okay? If you uncheck the box, you can search all the other statuses, but the con, which I'm sure you felt coming, right? The pro is you can, the con is there's no way to specify closing date or any kind of date at all. So we guarantee at least 2 years worth of sold data, at least a year plus of terminated, withdrawn, expired, so you're going to have this giant list of results, right? So if you need to find something specifically that's sold within a certain time frame or things like that, go to quick search and do it there where you've got more control over the criteria. Make sense? Clear as mud. All right, I felt a little motherly right there, that tone of my voice. So, all right, so then next tab over is address, and that's exactly what she was saying. Well, what if they call and say, tell me more about 1234 Maple Street? You can just simply type it right here, the numbers in that box, the street in that box, click search, and it'll find immediately just by that one property address. If you uncheck the box at the bottom, this is going to be sort of actually okay to do on this tab because I'm only looking for the history of that one property. So there could only potentially be a handful of entries, right? As opposed to every sold in a quarter-mile radius or something. So you've got that flexibility there. And then last but not least is your MLS number or numbers search. If you know the MLS number of a property, you can type it there. If you've got more than one, like you say, you can see. Like you can see there, you can put a comma between them. So one number, comma the next, comma the next, comma the next. And it'll pull those up. Okay, so that's all fast search. So any questions on any of these widget things before we leave this first page that I've forced you to be on all this time already? All right, go ahead.
You teach private lessons? It's a lot to digest.
It is a lot to digest, and we haven't even left the first screen.
Yeah, but we can go back
That's
to
the
it.
recording.
Yes, very good.
And it will be on YouTube by tomorrow night.
Awesome, very good. And not to take away from my personal charm or anything, but up here in the tools, top right corner, they just recently moved it. There's a help menu in the very top right corner, help, online help, and then they have tutorial videos there as well that they've recorded onto certain sections. So how to search by map. So it kind of breaks it into smaller little videos too if you don't want to watch all of me. Yeah.
It can help us, and then if we get
You've got both to choose from, that's right. If you want to digest, like she said, it's a lot to digest. If you want little snippets of information in video form, they've got those in the help menu. And then if you want to watch a whole lot of Maryland, you got that too. All right. So let's go on into the quick search, which is our regular search, for lack of a better term. That's what I call it, the regular, the more common way you're going to search. So if you hover on the search menu, remember your best friend, hover. Hover on search, you've got all your different property classes, single family, townhome, high-rise, rental, whatever it might be. Also, just to be aware, if you aren't already, there is an all search. You can search for multiple property classes at one time. So if they are, again, in front of a house and they can't tell if it's for sale or for lease or for rent, you can look for a property by address in both the rental and single family for sale type listings. If they don't know yet if they want a single family home or a townhouse, you can search for both at one time. So there's a couple of different reasons why that might come in handy for you. Excuse me, more often.
And can you search for all, like, expireds and all that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. If you click all,
Are you going to be able to
you then tell it
narrow
which
down
other
to
kinds you
single family
want.
and townhomes?
That's right, that's right. So if I click on all, and once that screen loads, you'll see I've got a little drop down to specify single family, townhome, condo, high rise, and pick and choose all or
Okay, that's all
whichever that I
activities
would
too,
want.
like active and
Yes, everything else that you can do in a regular quick search is all available.
okay.
Okay, so this little drop down right here lets you pick however many or few you might want. Okay. Just because I'm kind of OCD-ish, I want to be in single family, not all. I can do the same thing in the all search and just only pick single family, but I don't want to do it that way, okay? First thing I want to show you is I'm hovering on search and then hovering on single family, and then I have all this stuff off to the side. You have no stuff, most likely, okay? What that list is a list of some very creative, first of all, made-up names of custom searches. When you save a custom search in Fusion, it appears on this list. So you can just real quickly click it and open it. In Tempo, you go to search, custom search, scroll through the list, click it, and open it. So just a little bit more streamlined way to open your custom searches. You can also, two different ways to open this. If you hover on search, hover on single family, come across and find HAR MLS res system search and click that, it'll open the single family. I am not a huge fan of chasing little pop-out menus. Okay, so what I tend to do is just click right on the words single family, townhome, rental, whatever it is, it'll get you to the same place. Okay, so if you just click single family, it takes you to a single family search. If you click the word search, it will open a single family search. Okay, so several different ways to get to. If you want to go to townhome, you'd have to hover on search and then click townhome.
Family and so on and so forth.
Correct. So you've got that super shortcut to single family, but you have to kind of hover and select if you want something other than single family. You can search, one of the fields you can search is patio home inside the single family property class. How's that for an answer, right? All right, so looking at our criteria here, this is again what's called the basic quick search. And believe it or not, this is pretty much the exact same page that is in Tempo for my Tempo users. Everything in Tempo kind of goes back and forth across the page. In Fusion, it's just one big column. Okay, so whatever is in the upper left corner of the Tempo screen is the top of this list. Whatever's in the bottom right corner of Tempo is at the bottom of this list. So it's the same set of fields. You just kind of have a different layout to it. So that takes a little getting used to. Again, it'll always default to those three on-market class statuses, active, OP, and PS. If you want something different, you can easily go get that. Remember, if it's highlighted in blue, it is being used as criteria. If it isn't, then it isn't. Okay, so you just simply click it one time to select it, click it again to unselect it. You don't need a control key or shift key or anything like that.
So how did you do that?
You just click this little drop down, and then you can click or unclick.
Any or all?
If it's blue, it's going to be used as a piece of criteria, and if it's not, then it's not selected. Okay, if you want to select all statuses, you can do that as well. Obviously, if you pick all statuses, you want to put some dates in there to kind of streamline your results. So again, my little pink eraser is here. If I want to start over, I can do that also. So for today, I'm going to look at only active. And if you'll notice up at the top, it tells me I have 19,245 results. A little too many for me to read through. Also, it says over limit, which means I couldn't go look at the results if I wanted to. The max I can see at one time or work with is 500. So that ought to be enough, right? There's 500. Tempo's limit's 250 and Fusion's limit's 500. So again, we'll go ahead and start typing in some criteria here. Let's look for a $250,000 to $350,000 home in areas 14 or 15, just for simplicity's or consistency's sake. Okay. Here's more super high-tech stuff. See how the two fields, the price and the status, are kind of yellowish in the background? And then my status, or my area rather, is not yellowish. That means it doesn't know yet that I'm done typing in that field. Okay, there is no search button or search now, it just is searching. As soon as I finish a piece of criteria, it refines the results to meet the criteria. So until I hit enter or tab or click somewhere else, it doesn't know that I'm done. 14 and 15 is all I want. So if I hit enter, see how it becomes kind of yellow in the background? Now I know that that criteria is committed to the search. It also reduced my results by quite a bit. So instead of 19,000, I have only 275 now. Okay, so the more I begin to type, the lower that count will get up at the top. Excuse me. So let's narrow the field quite a bit by putting yes to private pool. That usually slims my list down pretty good. And in real life, you're probably going to have a customer or client that you're working with that'll say, I can afford this much, I want to live in this part of town or this subdivision or by this school or whatever. So they'll feed you the criteria that you need as opposed to, you know, winging it like I'm kind of doing up here today. Let's say they want at least 3 bedrooms and 2 full bath. Again, just for the sake of kind of narrowing things down. 28's not so bad to have to look through. Okay? Everybody good? I know I type kind of fast sometimes. All right, so this tells me up at the top I've got 28 total matches. So how do I go to see the results, do you think?
You click on the, try enter.
Enter just moves me field to field.
Okay, well.
Good guess. It's hiding in plain sight. It's so simple, it's complicated. Right here where it says results is where you go to see your results. So easy, it's hard, right? So I can either click right on the word results, or I can click that kind of little blue play button, the blue and white kind of arrow there, and that takes me to the list of the 28 results that I had.
Either results or that little arrow.
Either the word itself or the blue thing. That's right. That's right. So here are all 28 of them. And again, I can sort in Fusion and things like that. I'll show you some of those advanced. Those are technically advanced, but I'll cheat and show you that a little bit. On this screen, initially, it's the exact same results grid as Tempo. So again, those of you who are used to that page might see this sort of familiar. It's kind of the newer, shinier version, I like to call it. You can sort and it's a little more Excel-like, so you can work with the results a little bit more than you can in Tempo. Color coding is kind of big throughout Fusion. If you'll notice here on the side, here's another one of my favorite words I have to say, the chiclet, this color-coded thing, color-coded icon on the left here. The green indicates that it's active, pendings are orange, solds are red, expireds are kind of a fuchsia color. So every status has its own color coding. So just kind of real quickly you can look and see, oh, pending, without even having to look. There's also a column for the status right there. All of the pendings are orange. So if it's OP, RPS, or P for pending, they're all going to be color-coded orange. So you do have to kind of investigate a little to be sure which version of a status it's
But
in.
it says over in that.
It would say in the
what it
column,
is, yeah.
correct. It would say OP or PSHO or RP. And it does, that's right. It sorts them by status. So the default sort order is status first, list price order after that, and then MLS number order after that. So all your actives will be grouped together by list price order, all your pendings will be grouped together by list price order, so on and so forth. A couple of other color codings here. Do y'all notice anything about the list price or LP column?
There's some are red.
Some are pink or red or whatever color that is. My glasses are in my purse where I keep them because they help me so much there. I think it's a pinkish reddish color and the little arrow points down. She's got several glasses on. We should put several. Price reduction, that's right. You can just click the little button that says map at the top
She said down.
and it'll turn it off. Yeah, super easy, right? That part's easy enough. If the arrow points down, the price went down. If the arrow points up, the price went up. Okay? So if the price had been raised, it would be kind of a blue color with the arrow pointing up. So again, it would stand out because of its color coding.
Wait, if
Okay?
it's blue, what?
Blue with an arrow up, the price was raised. Pink with the price arrow down, the price was reduced. Not too many, no. There are some in there, but not as common by far as a price reduction.
Before you leave this screen,
Mhm.
The sorting, how do you make it sort without losing?
Well, it's out of order, and I'm OCD, so I'm not sure I can tell you out of order, but
I'm sorry.
no, it's fine.
If what?
I'm also a smart aleck. Did I forget to make that disclaimer on? If you just click the column header, if you just click the little column header at the top, it'll sort by that particular thing.
So that overrides.
It will do what?
It changes the default. I couldn't hear the last part of your question. Overrides what?
Oh,
It overrides
oh,
the
because it's not by list price. Okay, I got you. So if you hit that up the top, it does it just like it does on email when you want.
Right, exactly,
Okay.
exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
But it overrides the sorting that's already been
The default sort, correct. So they're initially in status order, but if I click something, then it's now in that other thing instead. So if I want it in list price order and I click there, it is, okay? And remember earlier I said if they call, I'm on such and such street, but I can't see the address, I can sort by address. So if you click the address header, it'll sort by that, alphabetically by street name. They're numerical and alphabetical, okay? So you can see right here now, I've got 2 on Alden Glen. They're numerical, so 43 is before 46, but they're alphabetical. So again, I'm on Maple Street, go to the M's, and I can see, okay? If you click a column once, it sorts it ascending, click it again, it sorts it in descending order. So I can have it lowest to highest price or highest to lowest, or reverse alphabetical, or whatever I might want.
If I went to the list price and hit it, and got it in order, and then I wanted to go back, I could hit it again and it'd go back to the right thing that it was?
No, if you click on list price, it'll only ever sort just by that one thing. So it's either lowest to highest list price or highest to lowest list price.
Right, but you
If you want it back the way it was,
Yeah.
status is the column you would want to sort by. So you get all the actives grouped together, then all your pendings and so forth. Okay. So if I put it back in status
I don't
order,
quite get that, I'm sorry.
Status thing.
The status thing, oh, that, okay.
when you first got your list of results, that's the order they were in, was status order first, list price order after
What
that.
if you just had the actives on there? Can you get it back in the order of you got it up there?
You can go back to criteria and then click results and kind
Puts
of,
it back.
yeah,
Okay.
reset sort of. Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. So then also, again, you could sort by any one of those. Just to give you more options, because why not have more options, right? If you
Yeah.
click the little sort button, you can sort by up to 3 different things. So if I click the column header, I'm only sorting by that one thing. If I click this sort button, then I have the options to sort by up to 3 things. So really, if you wanted, you could sort by status first, list price, MLS number, and that's exactly the way it came out in the beginning. Worst case scenario, close Fusion and open it again. Always resets back, defaults back to the defaults.
Options in this.
Lots and lots and lots of options. Pros and cons. You have lots of options, but your con is you have lots of options, right? All right. And then,
Can I
yes.
ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
Let's say I have my list and then I want to map them and then I want to narrow it down by a certain map.
It's almost as if I planted you. That's the exact next thing I'm going to talk about. Perfect.
All right, I got a
Perfect
to
question.
ask you. You see those 4 arrows up there in the top
Uh-huh.
by the lot? And what are those?
If I want to just say Rose Trace, I just want it to be at the top of the list. I don't want to sort, I want to sort everything by price or whatever, but for whatever reason, I want that listing just to be at the very top. Okay? You can just click this little arrow and it'll bump that up in the search order. I have to check the box. Okay? So if the mouse will cooperate with me. I made it angry.
You can hit it and then go to the property and take it to the top?
Check the box, buy whatever listing, and then hit that arrow and it'll just take it up a notch.
Okay,
Okay?
okay.
So it's checked. Now I can actually do it, I
Now, did
think. You
hit
check
the-
it.
Did you hit that up arrow?
I haven't yet. So
Okay.
I check the box first. So I select the property first, and then I can move it up one sort of notch at a time, for lack of a better term.
You're doing that with your mouse?
Yeah.
And you can check multiple properties. So let's say these are the 5 we already saw, or these are the 5 they're the most interested in. I could check 5 properties, bump them to the top of the list, and then have everything else.
And you
So the
can
ones,
also put them in the order that you want to show them, and then map it, and it tells you exactly how to go that way.
yes, but there's a little button that'll automatically do that for you too. Even easier. So, but yes, you could do that. And if you want to email them to,
Trying to find out what I can do.
what can I do? And one benefit of this is when I email this to a client, they'll be in the order of the grid. So if I were to send them properties, I want Rose, Trace, or whatever it is to be at the top of their list. That would be another benefit of kind of bumping them up or bumping them
So when
down.
they tell you which ones they want to see, you'll know, you can map it.
Potentially, yeah, that's another
Now, I
option.
got
But,
one more question.
okay.
You can delete any of them you want.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what we're talking about next. We're going to talk about filter. So let's say, hypothetically, pardon me for turning my head on you. It's not, my screen doesn't show me anything, so I have to do this kind of upside down backwards clicking here. So I've painstakingly read through these, right? And these are the properties that are perfect and amazing for my client. So I don't care so much about the others. I want it out of sight, out of mind, right? In Tempo, it's called narrow listings. You click that little button. In Fusion, it's called
What little button?
filter.
Which little button did you click?
Filter. Filter. In Tempo, I would have clicked the button that said narrow listings. In Fusion, you click filter, and then you've got some options, okay? So once I click filter, again, I've got these little drop downs. Selected and unselected is one of my choices here. Fusion never forgets the grand total of my results. So if I click filter, click selected, it just, out of sight, out of mind, only shows me the handful I did select. But what if, oh gosh, I meant to check another one. How do I go back and get that one that I meant to select?
28.
I go back. So I either go back to all of everything, my selected and unselected, to get the full 28 to choose from. Or if I flip to unselected, it's just showing me the ones I didn't yet check. Make sense? So now let's say, okay, so that's the one that I meant to include before, which I did not. So now if I flip again to selected, I have 9 total instead of 8. So it never forgets the grand total. In Tempo, if you click narrow listings, they're gone. The only way to get them back is to go start the search over and go back through the whole process. So differences, pros and cons. The other filter feature is status, so I can show only the actives, only the pendings. Of course, I've only searched by active, so I won't have too much, wild, exciting info to show you there. But you can seek out only the pending selected, or only the sold unselected, or whatever. So you can sort by both status and your selections, or all of everything, or just selected or unselected. Okay? And then right next to that is the map button. So let's say hypothetically we want to see our results on the map. Okay? So if you click that little map button, here they are. These are the 9 that I am currently looking at filtering through. Okay? And where they're located on the map. All the pins are numbered, and they do print where you can actually read the numbers, so that's good. FYI. The filter again applies to the map as well. So if I switch again to selected and unselected, there are all 28 almost immediately. Okay? If I switch to just the unselected, there are those 19. So it quickly and easily filters through those.
You can
I'm waiting
email
for
this
the
to
biggie.
your client as well.
I'm sorry?
You can email this to your client as well.
You can. You can. If you click email, then it'll send off a map. You can choose map, or you can choose just listing data or whatever. There's a couple of different choices there. Okay?
Now, where's the